Hi there. So we're walking in a forest in what used to be Osage country back in the day. And as I'm walking, I'm thinking about the idea of dis-ease and healing in Native American literature. Now I know if you're one of my literature students, you might be assigned this topic. And you will be assigned this topic possibly for a paper. However, I'm not going to give you the answers in this video. What's going to happen is I'm going to talk about dis-ease. I'm going to talk about its root sources, but if you're in my class, it's up to you to find out how this root cause might cause the dis-ease. Or perhaps you see a different root cause and you can argue that point. So anyways, rather than look at me while I'm walking, I'm going to turn this around because we're going to have some pretty good views coming up really soon. I'm going to just talk about it, so listen up. So, dis-ease, this idea of discomfort, rather, in the human soul, in an entire culture, a Native American culture. So where does this dis-ease begin? What has its origin? A lot of it that we see in Native American culture, it does indeed appear to stem from the clashing of cultures, from when the Caucasians came into this land and rubbed against the shoulders of various indigenous peoples. But there's mixed accounts of that. Sometimes there was friendliness, sometimes there was, this idea where the natives were helping the Europeans out. And that was all very well and good. And the Europeans likewise were also helping the indigenous peoples. So that being said, it wasn't an instant repulsion. I mean, there was some attempt in some cases at friendliness, at kindness. But there was a clash of cultures, though. There were people being pillaged for gold, for natural resources. That was very true. There were women being raped, children slaughtered, all kinds of bad things. Burns, they would burn sometimes, like if there was some agriculture, because not all indigenous people were necessarily hunters and gatherers. There was also agriculture going on, so you look into it. That's a side topic. Anyways, here, let's look at where we are. We are, well, it says 2 miles onto the Clark Trail and the Lewis Trail, but we kind of bypassed some other trails and took that side trail. Anyways, okay, so there were also, though, in terms of clash of cultures, it wasn't just, the indigenous people and the Europeans were repulsed by each other, that they were, somehow, like oil and water and couldn't mix. No, there were indigenous tribes that also warred against other tribes. Look at the Blackfeet and the stealing of the Kiowa horses. There was a lot of that going on. There was, just like in any culture, you look at, we haven't talked with others, about the slave trade in America. Guess what? Back in Africa, there were people indigenous to Africa selling their own people. So, was it a clash of cultures? Was it just, white people are terrible? No, not necessarily. Look at the root cause. What is the root cause? Greed. Greed in the hearts of man. Greed is what causes one tribe to steal another tribe's horses. Greed is what causes a battalion, a floating boat to come and steal the gold and rape and pillage the Central American cultures. You look at greed. Greed is what causes one indigenous band of people in Africa to sell another indigenous band of people in Africa. It's greed in the human heart. It is the human heart that is the root cause. There has to be a change in heart. There has to be a healing of the heart. So when we look at disease, what we really should be looking at, what appears to be a clash of culture. If you look at Neither Wolf Nor Dog, if you remember, Dan, the elder Sioux man, was talking about the clash of culture he has with the hippies. That most peaceful lot of people, the hippies, and Dan has a problem with them. So what we need to look at then is we need to look at beyond where the clash is to where the root cause is, because once the root cause can be discovered, then we can bring healing. And healing is what is also a part of a lot of these texts. And if you look at these texts, the ones I've assigned for my Native American Lit students, you will see that there is an element of healing. There is a ceremony that comes about to bring healing. So this river that you're seeing behind me now, right back there, that is the glorious and most beautiful Missouri River. This is in Weldon Springs, Missouri. I'm going to turn this around again so you can kind of get an idea about the bluffs. Whoa, we're really high up. Check out that bird flying. That is I think that might be one of those turkey vultures or something. Kind of looked, it was about the size of them, and they're prevalent over here. Anyways, all right, sorry for the quick spin. We're gonna check out of here. Just wanted to talk to you a little bit today about dis-ease, D-I-S-E-A-S-E, and healing. So start thinking about like what kind of ceremonies are used that bring healing. All right, peace out.